discuss business now.
Go.
Do you like puzzles, Mr. Wolf? Ray King has been murdered. I need your help to finish the job he started.
How does this all connect?
Most brains see a pattern that's familiar. My brain doesn't work that way.
Obviously, one of the appeals, Ben, I'll start with you, is the fact that Christian's condition is somewhat of his superpower. And I'm curious, for each of you, what would you say is your superpower?
I suppose if there's a superpower for me, like what served me the best is I've learned or found, I guess, is that I understood very early on that like the wise approach for me was to really get close to people who I admired and learn from them. And it has left me with the sense that, you know, when I'm working with a group of people to like, some people want to lead by, I make all the decisions and this has to be my way. And I found that, you know, actually you get much better results from really listening to people and creating a collaborative environment and inviting people in and making them feel like what you have to say is valued and we need that, and that's going to make it better. And you know, I learned that young from a couple of directors that I really admired, and that the ability to kind of listen and set aside my own ideas and expectations and kind of really take seriously someone else's approach and be able to go, you're right, that's better. I would say that's a superpower for me.
Yeah, for sure. John?
The only thing that really comes to mind for me is my family. You know, the family that I was raised with and the family that I'm trying to raise. There's always we just kind of have a thing where we're always. It's just not a question. We always have each other's back. It's always unconditional, and I'm really trying to create that with the family I'm trying to raise now, and especially with the siblings that I'm trying to raise with my kids. But that has definitely felt like a superpower for me. Nobody can ever take that away.
Hello, Braxton.
Well, I know you guys are both parents, and I know you're both very good parents, and every parent wants their kids to get along. And in the first film, we definitely see this loyalty and this bond that is established. And I know you also have brothers. What's the longest you've gone without talking to your brother? And has he ever had his feelings hurt? Because it's been 7 or 8 years.
I don't think you find any two brothers that haven't had their feelings hurt by something at some point, starting right at the very beginning. Unfortunately, it seems to be part of the nature of being that close and loving somebody. Like the more you care about somebody, in a way, the more they can hurt you. And that's what this movie is kind of about, like how trying to get along with your family who you love so much, but sometimes they're the people that can aggravate you the most. You know, with my own brother, and especially with like my own kids, where I now can really appreciate, you know, I see my kids fighting or bickering or whatever, it just kind of breaks my heart. And I'm like, man, I must have put my mother through so much suffering. Like between me and my brother, just straight out fighting and, you know, terrible. Over it's just like, and now I think, cause like to me, you want your kids like to get along. I can always say, hey, this is gonna have to be your sibling forever, for your whole life. Hey, you guys were on each other's side. But there's a part of it that's just like, get out of my room, don't take my stuff. What are you bothering? You know, and they, for some, you know, that's stupid. You know, that's just part of it, but that's how we learn to get along with people. You know, that's the gift of siblings, is that it teaches us from a young age, like, how do I relate to somebody else right in my space? You know, what I learned as a kid with a brother is like, you always had to share. It's not all you, it's like whatever it is, half of you, half your brother, period. You know, and that kind of teaches you like there's other people in the world. That's really important, you know?
I mean, but do we want to sit back here so we feel we feel an empty room, right?
Hi, Gavin. I'm Tara Hitchcock. I work with Harkins Theaters, the largest independently owned theater chain in the U.S. We're based here in Arizona. Congratulations on this.
Independently owned. I love hearing that. Congratulations.
You got to meet the Harkins. You got to meet Dan Harkins. Yeah,
I love that, man. Yeah, we keep it going, man. Keep that flame alive.
That's Greg.
Unconvincing.
What do you mean unconvincing? That's Greg. I'm getting this dog.
First of all, I can't get enough of John and Ben together. I can't wait for your third. I don't even care where it's going. I'm in. But when you're developing these characters, I love the subtle ads, whether it's John eating ice cream after he's committed some crimes, or the Waylon Jennings t-shirt, or the lightsaber for Ben. What was your favorite subtle addition that maybe the actors made on their own to their characters?
The lightsaber, the scene, I remember driving to work that morning, listening to Zach Bryan on my earbuds and looking at the scene, and I'm like, and the scene was written where he's just on the phone. And I'm like, man, that's just so uninteresting. And when I got to set, I found JP, my prop master, and I said, get me a lightsaber. He goes, I said, well, I'll shoot that scene last today, but I need a lightsaber. So he went and hunted one down for me. And we were going to shoot the scene. I said, Ben, here, put this in your hand, play with this during the scene. He lit up. He couldn't have been happier. He's like, dude, I love this. And he had such a, like, I think it may have been his favorite scene. I should ask him that. He was so happy with the lightsaber.
Good morning, Dreamboat. Could we discuss business now?
There's a line in there that broke my heart. And anyone who has anyone in their lives who might be neurodivergent can relate to this line. And it's where John says to Ben,
I spent years looking for you. Do you not miss me because of me, or is it your condition?
I'm just me.
and I'm curious how much you wanted to delve into not just a condition like that, but how it does affect the people who love them and who just have to learn that they love and communicate differently.
And what's his response? I'm just me.
I'm just me. But I think it's a heartbreaking because it's not even a question that you can necessarily ask somebody because you won't get the answer necessarily that you want. But that question, I think so many can relate to, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of it is the way John delivers it, because he was trying to figure out a way to broach it. It's a hard thing to ask. A lot of us in making the movie, from the writers to Ben, we not only done the research, but we're sort of intimately involved with autism in our lives, so we know it pretty well. So and I also didn't want to make a message movie in any way. Like, it's just like, that's who he is, and then that's it. That's who he is, and now he's just like, he's like everybody else. We're just telling us his story now, and that was really important to me as well.
You're Mary Beth Medina. Does that make you nervous?
Coming back to a character you haven't seen in what, 8 years? Easy, difficult?
Never easy, but always a welcome challenge. I was excited because when I did finally get the call that we were going to go again, it was somewhat out of the blue for me. You know, you're always hoping and waiting, but I kind of almost had to put my hope to the side and sort of go on my own journey over the last 8 years, both professionally and working on different projects and just navigating the world in the last 8 years. So to get that call and feel like I was going to get to revisit a character and also bring something of my own growth to the character, this is the first time I've really had an opportunity like that.
Well, you didn't miss a beat, and I'll tell you what, you haven't aged in 8 years. Fantastic. Daniela, I don't even want to talk about your character because there's so much I don't want people to know, but I have to bring up.
I appreciate that.
Well, which is too bad. Maybe we can talk about it after it comes out and you and I can revisit this, because I do have a lot of questions. But I heard an interview that you gave about your dad and his love of the first film. And I'm just curious if you can share with us what he loved so much about The Accountant.
Yeah, we saw the first one in theaters, and when we were all talking about, hey, did you like it? And blah, blah, blah. And we all loved it. And my dad, his point of view, which was like, you know what's so cool about that movie is that, like, you know, he's a guy who, he doesn't have a big house. He doesn't have a bunch of fancy cars. You know, his house is economical. He's good with his money. He's smart with his money. You know, that's pretty cool. And I was like, oh my gosh, what a dork.
Well, we love a dork.
Yeah, my dad loves Christian Wolf because he's cheap and good with his money.
We don't own cargo shorts. We don't own flip-flops.
Could you both fit your life into your car or an Airstream?
I could fit my life into an Airstream. I don't want to, but I could.
I think I probably could in an Airstream. I just think I would get claustrophobic in having to, like, kind of be in there, like if I just was having to stay in there. But if you think about it from a story point, it does make sense for Christian Wolf in terms of, like, it kind of is like the perfect, you know, hiding in plain sight, especially if you're at a dealership, or I think that's where he kind of parks it where it makes sense.
He's not enamored by stuff.
Yeah, and then of course he does have, like, you know, Pollux and very fancy artwork inside. That kind of spruces it up a little bit.
Yeah, I would have to be in a very Zen Buddhist point of my life to only live and not live in an Airstream.
Yeah.
Are you ready?